The Ghanaian Times starts us off, says, free SHS to produce educated workforce for Ghana's future development, according to President Akufo-Addo. Quality education, only cure for poverty, Reverend Intim Fojo. Alhaji Collins Dauda, 4 others charged with causing financial loss to the state. Court dismisses Empire Builders' writ against Top Kings Enterprise and Baltimore case, and foodstuff prices increase nationwide, according to a survey. I told you this last week that my wife went to the market. She came back complaining. The BNFT, GSC records highest profit in 30-year history, up to 178.21 year-on-year return. Also, TechPe disturbed by conflicting deficit and debt figures. GCX targets 20,000 metric tons raw cashew for auction next season. Supreme Court rules the Bank of Ghana's corporate governance directive is lawful. The Daily Guide. You find the photos of Alhaji Collins Dauda, Dr. Kweku Achiba Mensah, Alhaji Dr. Yakub Ziblim, Andrews Klokanas, Angelo Tetenovi, and Godfred Yeboah-Daming. And I'm sure you've seen the writ that's been making the rounds in the public sector. $200 million Saglemi scandal. 2 Mahama ministers have been charged, and President explains education funding. Also, Samia Uku heads the National Lottery Authority. The Statesman, the Insights, I beg your pardon, brouhaha over Trasacco Valley lands. Empire Builders warn encroachers. Also, big demo to hit Accra over government's 4% increase in salaries. Another anger mounts due to high cost of shipping charges. The Daily Graphic. Government considering free tertiary education, and President says at Global Education Summit. Also, Chief Justice's integrity unquestionable. JUSAG President has declared $200 million financial loss in Saglemi projects. Collins Dauda, 4 others in court. And what's on the back page? Techi targets gold medal at Tokyo Olympics. That's a brilliant Samuel Techi there, dazzled with a lot of brilliance and excellence, and he is shining so bright, the light of Ghana in Tokyo at the Olympics. Supreme Newspaper, bust depots empty as tanker drivers rendered jobless over months. I was talking about joblessness not a long while ago. Nadbo Jaika reaffirm relationship. Samia Uku heads NLA to spearhead transformation agenda. Guta LCB disinfect markets to stop the spread of COVID-19. Tension over atomic energy land as contractor sells several acres to defray cost of the police project. And finally, the BNFT, the Finder newspaper, Dr. Dampari officially takes office as IGP, and last Friday, IGP John Opombuenu was pulled out, and IGP Dampari is in. Quality education is best cure for poverty. Reverend John Intim Fojo is the Member of Parliament for Asin South constituency. Collins Dauda, 4 others charged, accused of misapplication of $200 million causing financial loss in Saglemi housing project. Also, Ghana is widening access to education for all, according to President Akufo-Addo. And unity of Muslims, Christians key to development. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is our Vice President, and that's what he's been saying there. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. Roxin Nelson Eche Dafiamakpo is the Member of Parliament for the good folks in South Dai in the Volta region. He joins me here in Studio Council. Good to see you.
Same here.
Sporting nice white.
It's Dafamakpo.
Dafamakpo.
Dafamakpo. Blow a candle and let me see.
Dafamakpo.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
That's right.
Okay. So every day I learn a new pronunciation. So very soon I'll start giving myself ever names, and then it will be complete. Yes. How are you doing?
Well, we are surviving. We are managing things.
Right.
Like we say in Ghana. So once there's life,
there's hope.
That's hope.
Sure. And
good money to my good people in South Nine.
Okay.
Peki Pali Tongo.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, the MPs are saying good morning to their people. The people of
our rules are still in a horrendous state.
Santro, Kofi, Akpafulo, Lobi, and Likpe, they don't have an MP. Yes. Asin North also doesn't have an MP now. Yes. So if you are MP-less,
well, they do have an MP. Asin North, they do have an MP. Why?
They have an MP.
Yes.
The court ruled.
The court has ruled, but there are available remedies in law, and that is being pursued.
I see.
Yeah, court judgments are not instantaneous.
Okay.
They go through a process to be effected. So everybody should relax.
So they still have an MP. The MP still will go to Parliament tomorrow.
Yes, why not? He has filed an appeal. He has filed an application for stay of execution pending appeal.
Okay.
So
he can still hold himself as MP?
Exactly so.
I see.
Yes.
Wow.
Until we exhaust all the legal remedies. The court has made some declaratory or pronouncements. I don't even think that pursuant to rules of court, I believe particularly order 41, rule 3 and rule 6 thereabout, the judgment has been entered, which is supposed to be, after the entry of judgment is filed, it's supposed to be served on the judgment debtor. And when it is served on the judgment debtor, it takes some number of days before you can levy execution. So all these are procedural matters.
I see.
Yes.
Anyway, well, I know that you have also been at the forefront with Sam George on the LGBTQI legislation. Where are we now? Are you getting attacks as well, first of all?
Yes, I am. I've come under serious attack. We pray for life because the kind of messages we even get from very strange sources, it's troubling. So, like, as if the speaker is a very, very experienced legislator. For him to say that we cannot be threatened in our homes, as if he anticipated that we'll come under attack and threats.
Right.
And it's happening. It's pouring in. We are taking the first reading of the bill today.
Okay.
And I'm sure we may take the second reading before Friday, pending German synod.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we are.
Okay.
And when we take the first reading, and we take the second reading where we'll debate the principles and the philosophies underpinning the bill and the policies, then people can appreciate where we're coming from.
So have we opened the floodgates now for people who disagree with certain portions of the bill or the bill in entirety to now bring memorandum or memoranda
I have argued
to Parliament?
I have argued, and I've made the position clear that from my readings, from my studies, and my being in Parliament, there's no bill that has ever come to Parliament that has not bled. That is, you won't suffer amendments.
Right.
You will suffer amendment. Even bills even one-page bills that government brings under certificate of agency, still we are able to find loopholes and amend them. So we are open for input from other sources.
Okay.
We are actually encouraging people, those both for and against, those who are for the bill, they should bring input, or who are making very, considerable churning ideas concerning how rich the bill should be.
Right.
They should bring memo. It can be a one-page memo, it can be a 10-page memo. As well as those who are, as it were, against it, they should also bring their memo. So that when we get to the consideration stage, we'll look at it. We'll debate the matters. In any case, it will be referred to the appropriate committee.
Right.
Perhaps either the health committee or the constitutional, legal, and parliamentary affairs, which I'm a member.
Right.
Or it could be a joint referral.
Okay.
So several committees could be tasked to work on
Gender
this.
committee, for example,
exactly.
will be working on this as well. Okay,
Yes.
I see. Okay, so that's a bit of information for you. And as I told you earlier the other time, Parliament doesn't operate from social media. So if you have qualms about anything, put it in writing and take it to Parliament. If you attack people, call them names, insult them, derogatory language and hate speech directed at them, I don't think that that's what will see whether the bill is passed or not, or what to see your views in the bill. Parliament doesn't operate from social media, not from Twitter, not from Instagram, not from Snapchat, Facebook, whatever it is. So take note, and if you have challenges, please put them in writing. And as he said, the doors are open. But before we get into Saglemi, and we're expecting the MPP rep to join us. Nobody has showed up yet. When they show up, we have an extra chair. I'm sure we can afford them the chair too. But before we get into Saglemi, let's talk about youth unemployment. It hit me again and again, and over the weekend, it hit me harder again after I'd gone to speak at Nana Esiedu's 40th birthday. Most of the young people who interacted with me in between the program, after the program, and even before the program started, were talking about joblessness. These are university graduates, people who have diplomas, who are HND, full degrees, people who are reading done MA, MSc, and they are looking for job openings. Where are the jobs?
Thank you, my brother. Let me give you my experience 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I left University of Cape Coast as a young graduate. I had obtained BSc in tourism.
Right.
We were shocked. You know, in the 90s, tourism was so hyped. And so instead of reading, you know, I'd been admitted to read English and philosophy at Legon. Then I left to go and
pursue this
tourism. We came out. The jobs were not available in the hotel industry. They were not there. So after my national service, what did I do? I took up teaching appointment and reinvented myself. I had always wanted to read law, so I went back to law school. But the point is, this even happened 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Now, our young ones who live in the university don't even have the opportunity to even take up teaching. Because even trained teachers are in a queue. They are on standby. Because when you obtain your degree in either in education, foundation, or whatever it is, you don't go straight into teaching anymore. You have to now write a licensure.
That's right.
And if you write the licensure and you fail, then you sit at home. So I asked myself, why don't we incorporate the licensure exams as part of the curriculum? So that the licensure becomes your final degree exam or part of the final courses you take at level, whether level 300 or level 400.
So you don't need to come back.
So you don't need to come out before you sit for a certain licensure exams. But this is all thinking that we must do. The indicator ought to have been noted by you when the military recently, announced recruitment.
That's right.
That should tell you. And I don't think the multitude of the thousands of persons we saw, if they had an alternative, would join the army. Army is a very tough, disciplined place. It's not everybody who are molded for it. But for lack of job opportunities, everybody thinks that the security services become the only available option. And you saw the gridlock.
In fact, so 2 years before that, 84,000 young people had queued up to look for immigration service job. Only 500 of them got those jobs.
Thank you.
84,000.
Now the issue is this. We are churning out about 50,000 young graduates every year.
That's right.
50,000 every year. We are unable to generate even 1,000 jobs every year. Unable. So clearly, we are having problems. And even the public sector recruitment is so choked. So choked. So it's a problem. Look, we had a retreat over the weekend from some selected committee members on some issues. And youth unemployment is becoming a national security issue. It's becoming a serious developmental issue. Because if we are not careful, there could be a social upheaval on the youth front. So when government says, I am creating 1 million jobs.
Right.
I keep wondering that this government continue to be rhetorical. Because you know why? In the budget, they say 1 million jobs in 3 years. The Ministry of Tourism alone came to Parliament to say that they are creating 1.2 million jobs this year. This year, I didn't say it. In an answer to a question, the minister came.
So you think they are not in sync?
No. So if the Ministry of Tourism alone is seeking to create 1.2 million jobs, and you marry that with what the finance minister stated in his mid-year review budget, then it means in 3 years alone, we should be generating in excess of 2.2 million jobs, isn't it? But there was no mention or reference to the statistics, the hopeful statistics from the Ministry of Tourism.
Maybe they are from different sectors.
No, but the government...
So in tourism, for example, tour guides...
No, but the government cannot be acting in discordance like that. For me, it tells me that there are policy contradictions. If there are available avenues for tour guides, certainly to be recruited, that's perfect. I keep wondering that why don't we have sanitation inspectors, young graduates, sanitation inspectors? When they come to your house, they have issues, they give you a ticket, you go and pay. Why don't we have young graduates as electricity meter readers? Who are the people doing the job? Meanwhile, ECG is complaining every day that they don't have money. All right?
I get it.
So there are lots
so
of
we can
things.
create the jobs,
Yes,
and then let them generate the money that will pay them.
Exactly. Okay. Because look, if they see Bola in your house, they ticket you. You make them zonal inspectors. They have a zone that they monitor.
Right.
Some of our sanitation issues will go down. So, but the government will be churning out figures. When you marry that with the number of the people on the public payroll, then you don't see it.
But are the young people willing to do those kind of jobs?
Why?
Because again, the other angle is that somebody says, well, there are jobs that are available, but the young people are very choosy in the kinds of jobs that they want to do, which is why they don't have the jobs.
If persons, I don't buy that argument. If young persons are choosy regarding the kind of jobs they want, they wouldn't stay in the sun for 6 hours just to have their documents vetted for purposes of being recruited into the army.
I see. Okay, let me bring in Kamal. Kamal, welcome. Kamal Din Abdullah is joining us. He's a communications director, a deputy communications director at the NPP headquarters. Kamal, good to see you. A former Nasara coordinator, national Nasara coordinator. So he's a big man. He's our brother in power. Kamal, we're talking about youth unemployment. I mean, briefly before we get into Saglemi, and it hits me every now and then that you find young, able-bodied, intelligent, dynamic people who are jobless. And some of them have ideas. They say they can't find the resources to even push their ideas. They want to get into entrepreneurship, but it's become too difficult for them. And yet, the picture is created as if, oh, everything seems okay. They disagree with it on the ground. Where are the jobs?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me say very sorry for being late. I underestimated the traffic situation from my place. Apparently, I was caught up in it. Good morning to Honorable. It's a long time, actually.
It's some time.
The subject matter you have kept on the table is a matter that we all need to be worried about, because the devil always finds work for the idle hands, as they always say. So clearly, if the youth of this country are not engaged in terms of meaningful jobs, in terms of jobs that they have also initiated by themselves, or put measures in place for them to be engaged, as it were, is going to be a worry to us. I have always been full of praise for the MPP government, MPP 1 and MPP 2, when it comes to youth employment and then job creation, measures that they put in place. I've always been praised. You see, when you say that the youth say, we do not see the work on the ground, yes, they are right to complain about it. But of course, question we should also ask is, do we have governments who have put in place policies that are deliberate, towards creating jobs for the youth of this country within the fourth Republican, dispensation that we've had? Point is, when you take NYEP, for instance, the then NYEP, it was again fashioned out by the MPP that metamorphosed into YEA. Today, thousands of youth are employed under it. Again, when you look at this NEP initiative that this government has brought about.
John Kuma's
area, okay? Again, it was also tailored towards ensuring that job is created. NAPCO, same has been done. It is not as if there has not been efforts put in place to get the youth of this country engaged. There has been efforts, but of course, more room for improvement for us to move on and as it were.
But when the jobs are temporary jobs, that's the problem.
No, but you see, it is even in the tentative, it is better. It becomes a mitigating factor for all of us. Assuming a graduate is done, you don't even have where to turn to. Then a government of the day says, look, we don't even have, because look, we are in a country where everybody finishes university and want to take application, a paper and pen, write application to a public sector for a job, which is very, very, very little. Because I am aware that about 600 or 700,000 people are people who can only be engaged at the public sector. Now, ask yourself, how many graduates come out of the university? Now, if a government sit down to say that, look, even though we have no job at the public sector, but then we could fashion out a strategy where someone can even get some stipends, like 700 cedis, 800 cedis. So go into NAPCO and move on. I think it's a laudable idea, even though it's a mitigating factor, which is supposed to be in the tentative and not, as it were, a permanent job. So the point is, where I would like us to look at critically, what's it? Johnny, is that we should look at how we can empower ourselves as, people within the youth enclave. How do we empower yourself? Try to be innovative. Today you walk around on the street and you see people branding popcorns, people branding, if you like, wachi, people branding a whole lot, and people are buying. There are jobs out there, but you see, you make a very important point, that the startup capital is what is lacking.
That's right.
The person might have even the idea, but the money to even set up the business is where the problem is.
Where do they turn?
But there's this book I read. I think it's a Harvard professor who wrote it. Says that what businessmen don't learn in the classroom. Usually, your innovation will come to play. And when it comes to play, you can use 200 cities, 300 cities, and because you have been able to plan yourself, that could be within your reach a startup capital for you. But we don't do that. We are sitting down and waiting for that 10 million, 1 million Ghana cedis that will come, which will never come. So my point is that the little that is in hand, let's try as much as possible, fashion a strategy around it, and be able to grow it so that we can also be seen as people who are indeed bosses on our own selves.
So then the question comes, I mean, NHA has raised the point that the Ministry for Tourism and Culture and Creative Arts have come up to say that they are going to create 1.2 million jobs in a year, this year alone. Even though they keep telling us that the effects of COVID have hit them so hard, and we know how stimulus packages for those within that industry have not come in full.
Of course.
And how some of them are still struggling to bounce back. So that 1.2 million figure is quite ambitious. Then Finance Minister, following what the President has said, that 1 million jobs will be created in 3 years, had come. Then he announces a youth bank. He says there is some disparity and that it appears you are not in sync with yourself.
We are in sync.
How are you in sync with
yourself? First of all, the 1.2 million within the tourism sector, for me, is not ambitious at all. You know why?
Tell me.
I was driving past Accra Zoo around the Achimota Forest, and I realized that it's become virtually defunct. Then I asked myself, if I am within the tourism ministry, what can I do to create job within this area? First of all, we have students those days who had that interest to visit the zoos. Today, how well have we had the Minister of Tourism liaison with the Minister of Education, try to inculcate such culture in them again, and get kids to say every weekend, maybe families or guardians could take their children to the zoo, could take their children to places of interest in terms of domestic tourism. Have we initiated that?
How attractive is it?
Let me tell you, if we do initiate that, simply, it means that when the zoos become functional, when tourism sites become functional, obviously tour guides will be employed. Okay? And you would be surprised that the youth who will be interested in that area would have to be on board. And again, people who would have to get souvenirs to be selling around those areas will also be, up and doing. restaurants and other things will also be up and doing. You see, sometimes when we say job creation, it's not the direct job creation you're talking about. It's a policy that would be tailored towards ensuring that indirect jobs will even be
comes back
created.
to the capital.
So
if I want to sell artifacts,
it doesn't at all.
If I want to sell artifacts, where do I get them from to sell?
I am saying it doesn't at all. That's why I made an earlier point that, look, sometimes we are waiting for this huge chunk of money to call it capital. But I'm telling you, my mother, who took care of me to where I got to, so was selling cocoa and kose, my mother. You understand? And she was actually taking care of myself and my siblings till where we got to. So are you telling me that
mine big bread?
That's the point. So you see, it tells you that it is not the chunk of money. Today she's excited, maybe sitting there to see that Kamal has improved in life because of where we got to do. If she was to wait for those millions of cities, I wouldn't have gotten here.
What kind of hope is there for? And my final question to you, maybe
Yes,
will have a minute. What kind of hope is there for the young graduate watching us now, who sees his friends go and come, but is not going anywhere? What hope is there for them?
Honestly,
who have been at home for 3 years, 5 years, 8 years?
Honestly, it's a worry, but I've just said that better little than never at all. That is why I mentioned the mitigating factors the government of the day has put in place and all that. And I believe, and I've also mentioned that there is much room for improvement for us to move on. Yes, it's a worry, but of course I can assure every single youth watching me that, look, within your own self, you can create something. And of course, within the measures put by government, you can also be able to get something to do. Let us move on. Not quite too long ago, the government of the day announced financial clearance for some security agencies and institutions to over 11,000 people who are supposed to be employed through even the security and then the education sector and all that. It tells you that indeed there's hope in sight. You understand what I mean? 11,000 youth would be employed. And that tells you there's hope inside. And aside that, what the finance minister just mentioned, the youth bank and all that, they are all policies, deliberate policies. But let us not throw our hands in despair and say that there is nothing at all. I am saying the government of the day is up on the job and is doing the job and ensuring that the youth of this country will indeed be happy.
The challenge is where, for example, NAPCO beneficiaries, youth in afforestation, and all those other schemes keep telling you, and they will send messages this morning perhaps, that they have not been paid in months.
I disagree.
Even national service personnel
I completely
saying
received those messages.
Allowances have not been paid. You disagree that
I think we are not being fair to the system. Johnny,
I'm asking you the question.
I'm just answering the question.
Okay. So
I have been reading it myself. It's not just your question.
So attack the message, not the messenger.
I am attacking the message, not the messenger.
Right.
I am saying we have not been fair to the system.
Okay.
Why am I saying we have not been fair to the system? If you work in, yes, I agree, you work to be paid. That's important.
Right.
And then maybe for some bureaucratic reasons, there has been a delay in 2 months or in 3 months payment. Then, of course, hey, hell must break loose. In the first place, let's even commend the government for institutions putting in place such a measure. Somebody sit down to poo-poo it. My good brother from the NDC will tell you NAPCO is nothing. I remember when NAPCO came out, they said NAPCO is nothing. But when you go to his constituency, obviously there are beneficiaries of NAPCO there. My point is that, yes, delay is not a good one, but of course those bureaucratic bottlenecks must be taken out. Then, of course, we will get this thing down.
Take a minute and then let's switch.
Johnny, I need more
No, you spoke a lot before he came. No, please.
Before he came.
Come on.
It's not 30 minutes. I will read the program. Sorry. Take a minute on that so we can switch.
A minute will not be sufficient.
So that we can
First
switch.
of all,
I beg you.
let me launch. First of all, he speaks in a futuristic terms. He says if
conditional.
We are in August 2021. The Minister of Tourism came to tell Parliament that they will create 1.2 million jobs. So it is not about if. It is about what are the policy programs to generate that. So if you say that if we develop the tourism biome around the Achimota Forest, we'll be able to recruit more tour guides and develop more tourism products. That is a future program. But I speak of the promise. What are the programs is put in place to ensure that come 31st December 2021, indeed 1.2 million jobs will be created. Right. I am not saying it. Last year, we programmed to pump 600 million as relief.
Right. MBSSI loans.
Through MBSSI.
Now it's GEA.
She did extremely well. Her allocation, she didn't get a full allocation. But the allocations that she got, she gave the monies out. I expected government to have done an analysis. What has been the multiplier effect in the economy for that package? For instance, if you give somebody 5,000 as a relief, as a COVID-19 relief package for his or her business, what has the person done by way of growing the business and employing 2 or 3 additional hands? If you don't do that analysis, we'll be giving money to private people who will take the money and go and do something different.
But clearly, if I run a hotel and you give me 5,000 cedis,
no,
am I using?
You are not a hotel. A hotel is not a hotel. Is not a tabletop business.
Okay.
I speak of the sole proprietor.
Okay.
The corner shop owner. The person who is running a tabletop.
But they are
business.
not getting 5,000.
They got 2.
Some get 2,000. Some get
3,000.
Depending on
how much you make.
No.
How much you requested for,
yes,
and what your tax obligations have been.
No, if you indicate that, for instance, you employ 10 people, you are likely to get 5,000 because the expectation is that you are capable of employing maybe 3 or 2 more.
Right.
So we need
but
to
you needed to show proof.
I agree.
Okay, and
so,
also to show that you are tax compliant.
Yes, so we need to make those socio-economic analysis. If you don't do it, we'll be sinking money into ventures that will not be productive.
Okay.
Then 2, government so far hasn't given us an analysis of the number of jobs they've created with the 1D 1F program.
Right.
So far.
Right.
The IPEP program that they are rolling out through the development authorities. CODA is doing very well, the Coastal Development Authority. But I'm not hearing from the Middle Belt Development Authority.
They're doing the same.
Hold on. Or the Northern Development Authority. Because CODA, for instance, in my constituency,
Yes.
they are seeking to roll out 3 programs.
Okay.
Building the new Germany market, for instance. Then they want to do 2 other infrastructure programs in Peki, the drains, which is good. But I have applied that my craft village, the young boys in Anyensu, Peki, Anyensu, when you are going from a Skuma to Peki, there are some young boys in Anyensu who their job is to they carve drums and all this. I've applied for a craft village.
Okay.
To be established there, so it become like a highway rest stop.
Right.
So persons can stop, purchase some of these things. The bureaucracy and the politics that they are playing
Just to
with
get that done.
That's the point I made.
You see, so these are some of the difficulties we encounter.
But if the government is really interested or has priority for job creation, that bureaucracy should not be there.
Exactly.
Perhaps.
And even the politics, because it is coming from maybe an NDC member. No.
It's important.
No, it's important.
It's important.
What is important?
Give credit where it's
you
due.
see, even on this studio,
The initiative alone.
Even you see,
It's benefiting your constituency.
Even in this studio, he's not able to shy away from that.
You bastardize me, but the next moment you tell me that you are benefiting from a project.
I am saying that I have designed a program.
Okay.
I am applying for funding for that to be done, so we can stabilize the youth who are into the craft, the drum making and all.
Okay.
It's not happening.
I see. Come out. Sorry, AJ. I would have to switch.
Yes.
Somebody just sent a message in asking specifically about NAPCO beneficiaries and their salaries or their allowances. For national service folks.
Yeah.
You know that around this table when we did a national service, you are getting the allowance to take you to and back from
Absolutely.
job, get experience to serve your nation as well. But where there are delays and they are not coming, and then after 3 months when it comes, we announce and make pomp and pageantry out of it.
Just yesterday,
it's and they are complaining.
I was relaxed at home and I was watching this Olympic Games. Then I saw Japan 2020. Then I said to myself, but we are in 2021.
Right.
There it dawned on me that we are not in normal times. You understand? I'm making a point. And the point I want to make is that building on the point, the example I just gave, we all know that COVID has hit us hard. And we know that things change when to abnormal situations. Obviously, our fiscal policies would have to delay a little. Certain decisions have to delay a little. I would only urge those people who, of course, are caught in that to be very patient and let's see how government is going to work this thing out. But clearly, it's not a good idea.
You promised the NAPCO beneficiaries permanent jobs. You asked them to log on to a portal and sign on to it. They say they still don't have the permanent jobs. What's the story?
Yes, I'm aware that GRA has taken an initiative to see how they can rope those people into the permanent structure and other institutions that they have done. You know, they have models and all that.
Right.
I quite believe that the management of NAPCO, in conjunction with the institution that they have sent people to help, are all working hard around it. And of course, something is going to be done out of it.
Okay.
Is he aware that under YA, apart from the security model, the other models have not recruited anyone for the past 5 years?
I thought you were going to say 0, but I'm happy you've just mentioned.
Apart from the, see,
I'm saying, I thought you were going to say
there are about 10. I'm saying,
I thought you were going to say 0.
You reference YA, and I'm saying that when you came to power,
yes,
5 years ago,
only one model has been.
Yeah, apart from the security,
afforestation is security.
No,
the afforestation model.
Afforestation,
thousands and thousands, even within your village, you were there.
Me,
afforestation, youth in afforestation project.
Have you done anything in my constituency?
I am saying you haven't done anything.
Hold on.
That's security, and I'm saying afforestation is not just security.
Come on.
Who are engaged in afforestation? Because you are not in my district.
I am saying youth in afforestation is under YEA, is collaboration of YEA and Forestry Commission. So if you tell me that it's only security,
it is the Forestry Commission that came. It was
St. John. You spoke about
they came up with that program.
No, but YEA is in conjunction with YEA.
Okay,
how is that?
How is that? Come on. I'll have to bring Bella in, but let me ask you this quick question.
Yes.
You know that NAPCO, for example, had Revenue Ghana.
Yeah. Yes.
And the concept was that Revenue Ghana was going to look at the informal sector particularly and try and raise funds from there.
Yeah.
Do we know as a government, after pumping 840,000 or 840 million
how much
annually,
we've gotten out of it?
Yes, especially.
Yes, I cannot give you the figures.
Because if we're doing that, I'm sure we can have money to
I
go
cannot
around.
give you the figures, but I can simply tell you that our revenue target for the fiscal year last time was, revenue mobilization target was around 27 billion Ghana cedis. But trust me, they had a shortfall of just only 212 or so, million cedis to hit
after you rebased.
Yes, I am saying that, you are asking whether they've done it, and I'm just giving you, a shallow, if you like, picture of what is there. It tells you that there has been improvement because the shortfall they had was not that much. And of course, at the end of the day, revenue mobilization, they didn't hit their target. But of course, the amount of money that eluded them was not that much. And I'm saying that, of course, that is an improvement in a way.
I see.
Even though they couldn't hit the target. But what actually
when you lower the bar, you will hit the bar at the lower level. My government is spending 120 billion annually.
Listen,
and you say that your revenue target is 45 billion.
You aim low and hit.
Easy
high and miss.
No, I think that monitoring evaluation must be done to be able to give us this result so that we can get it.
Must be done. Bella, welcome.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
aim
so
too
much.
low and you hit. You aim high and you miss.
What he said was when you aim low, you hit what? The lower bar.
So
you are in nose mask. He's in nose mask. Is that normal?
Say again.
Are you in a nose mask?
We bought it ourselves.
And he's in nose mask. You're not normal. So it tells you that
everything is COVID for you guys.
Everything. No, it's not everything is COVID, but that is what it is.
Everything is COVID.
That is what
your inability to even attend court is COVID.
Your handsome face is
I am saying that your inability to attend court is even COVID due to COVID.
Bella, step in for me.
Well, let me read messages. Maybe that is also as a result of COVID as well. But thank you very much for advocating on behalf of Ghanaian youth this morning. Obed, a graduate from UDS, haven't pursued a degree in community development. At least there are community development offices across all MMD assemblies in the country, as well as community relations departments all over each and every institution in the country. Having tried to secure a job after 8 years of completing school, I have found none. Some of us are voiceless to the extent that we see people with no qualifications working because of their political affiliation. It's really difficult for some of us to survive. I've also been attending series of entrepreneurship workshops in order to start something, but I have not received any support. Please, some of us are really struggling in life. Our leaders should remember God will ask them one day if they are not ready to make an enable environment for all of us. Okay, I believe no job is, in quotes, foolish. We, the youth of today, are for the money. And I agree so much on the need for volunteerism. But even with that, for some, there are protocols, and some are not made known for we, the youth, to come through. My advice to the youth also is to brand ourselves, make our skills known, practice something, and don't depend solely on government and their unrealistic promises. Lastly, our educational system, as you both rightly mentioned, is so demoralizing because the theory is too much. Ghana, learn from some developed countries so this country one day will develop. What do our leaders pick when they... okay, so what do they learn when they travel to these countries to get their degrees, diplomas, masters, and PhDs? Good morning, New Day. My name is Deborah Boachi. Johnny, I stand with you always. They told us that education was the key to success. We got the key, and to our notice, the padlock has been stolen by our greedy leaders. The most painful thing is that if you're looking for a job, they ask you to bring 5,000 or 7,500 for an appointment, especially GES, Harun Tamale. We'll have to verify this. But anyway, moving forward. Good morning, TV3 New Day. The student's loan is just another way of intimidating graduates. Students are supposed to start paying back after 1 year grace period. We averagely, the Ghanaian student spends 3 to 4 years without a job. Johnny, how can we pay back? Good morning, TV3. The government stories of creating 1,000 jobs, well, 1 million jobs, you mean, is a big insult to the youth because they've been singing this song since they came to power. How many jobs have they created? The NAPCO employees are not even receiving their allowances regularly. Now that they're claiming they're going to employ them permanently, I want to ask the government if they're going to be receiving their salaries regularly, or like the way they were taking their allowances. Is the money now available to pay NAPCO permanent workers? Good morning, Johnny and Bella. I really like the discussion going on this morning with regards to youth unemployment in the country. It's very pathetic. After national service, I had been on contract with a company and I wouldn't want to disclose them publicly. I worked with this company for 3 solid years. When the contract ended, they extended it for 2 to 3 months. It ended and they extended again, and the cycle continued until I was laid off eventually without any extension. I cannot be at home idle doing nothing, so I had to start my own thing, interior decoration. I do wallpaper installations for survival now. My works are on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, well, he's marketing as well. Yes, he says, my works are on Facebook and Instagram at Nunya Decor. Anyone in need of my services can contact me on 0500 298 678. Again, 0500 298 678. By his grace, by his grace, I get a few installations to do, but then I'd need more jobs for survival because it's not an everyday job. Well, I beg to differ. I think this can be an everyday job. It really depends. Exactly. Maybe you should start looking at it that way and, market it better. We've done our part. We hope that you get some clients this morning. Good morning, Johnny. This Kamal will never say the truth. You people promise NAPCO permanent jobs, but the promise has 10 to B's. Come on. He says the NAPCO permanent job, it 10 B's.
Make B's.
Politics. Please tell the NPP man there their campaign promises of creating more jobs for the youth has not been done. They should work for Ghana to become better. We don't need a cathedral. We want manufacturing companies to provide jobs. And finally, good morning, Johnny. Kamal and his colleagues from the NPP talk as if everybody's like their supporters. Do they know the number of people who lost their jobs as a result of the collapse of private businesses? And he is saying people should create their own businesses so they'll come one day and collapse it. That's Roberts from Cratchit. That's it for the messages.
Dr. Clement Apak says Rosewood for National Cathedral. I disagree. Thousands of students from KG to SHS have no furniture to sit on. More acute in the source areas of Rosewoods. The impounded rosewood should be used to make furniture for our students, especially those in the Rosewood catchment areas. Let those who are bound to suffer the consequences of this illegality benefit from their retrieved stolen resources and somewhat. It's the fair and just thing to do. Mr. Minister, that's Dr. Clement Apak, is a ranking member on the Education Committee in Parliament. Let me borrow 2 minutes quickly. And let's please play Kesalatu Forsen in Parliament the other time for me quickly. And let's have a quick chat about COVID and the vaccines and the third wave and the president's reban and how people are playing by it or not sinking into it. Our time is gone. As CHA is watching me, we can't do Saglemi today. Please play the tape for me.
Page 101, Appendix 4E. The Speaker, Appendix 4E is a major concern to Mr. Speaker because we all know that COVID-19 is a major threat to our economy and to our health and our very existence. Mr. Speaker, that is why, Mr. Speaker, we should encourage our minister to make funds available for the purposes of buying vaccines. Mr. Speaker, in the budget statement, he said that he has allocated an amount of 929 million Ghana cedis for COVID-19 vaccines. Mr. Speaker, I surprise you that so far, only 126 million Ghana cedis has been made available for the purposes of buying vaccines. 126 million, first 6 months of the year. Mr. Speaker, out of this 126 million, in page 109, Appendix 4E, clearly, Mr. Speaker, it says that they have paid Sputnik doses. That's 50% of the supply of Sputnik vaccine, 16 million. Mr. Speaker, I would have thought, we were told that, Mr. Speaker, they have so far not paid any amount to Sputnik. But this budget tells us that between January to June, they have released an amount of 16 million Ghana cedis for the purposes of Sputnik vaccine. Mr. Speaker, so you can see contradictions between what they have informed us and
Okay, so that's Dr. Kesa Latufosi. He's a ranking member on the Finance Committee in Parliament. He speaks for the NDC on issues of finance. Well, so whether or not we paid for vaccines, we have not paid for vaccines, I and many other Ghanaians are interested in where the vaccines are at this point. Come out. Where are the vaccines?
First of all, I'm surprised that.
Where are the vaccines? You say you are surprised.
Oh, come on.
Allow him.
I am surprised that we create an impression out there that some money has actually been paid to Sputnik to the tune of 16 million. You see, and when you listen to the venerable finance person, Atufosi, who I also have respect for, he says clearly that from what he reads, money has been released for payment.
Right.
I just want to find out whether that suffices to say money has been paid to Sputnik. That cannot suffice. Money released is not money paid to Sputnik.
What are you suggesting?
But, I just want to
money allocated.
Can you play that again? Money released for the payment for vaccines.
Okay, hold on. Please play the tape for me again for clarity's sake. I want us
listen to the tail end.
Let's listen carefully for clarity's sake.
Listen to the tail end.
Appendix 4E. Mr. Speaker, Appendix 4E is a major concern to Mr. Speaker because we all know that COVID-19 is a major threat to our economy and to our health and our very existence. Mr. Speaker, that is why, Mr. Speaker, we should encourage our minister to make funds available for the purposes of buying vaccines. Mr. Speaker, in the budget statement, he said that he has allocated an amount of 929 million Ghana cedis for COVID-19 vaccines. Mr. Speaker, I surprise you that so far, only 126 million Ghana cedis has been made available for the purposes of buying vaccines. 126 million, first 6 months of the year. Mr. Speaker, out of this 126 million, in page 109, Appendix 4E, clearly, Mr. Speaker, it says that they have paid Sputnik doses. That's 50% of the supply of Sputnik vaccine, 16 million. Mr. Speaker, I would have thought, we were told that, Mr. Speaker, they have so far not paid any amount to Sputnik. But this budget tells us that between January to June, they have released an amount of 16 million Ghana cedis for the purposes of Sputnik vaccine.
But you have not answered my first question. Where are the vaccines? Because now we know we have paid money.
I know the COVID task force is at work, and I know very well that yes, we had shortage of the vaccines as it were, as it was made public. And we also know that there is on this Sputnik matter, there is an investigation that was put in place by Parliament, and of course, I believe the report will come up for us to look at it, so that to settle this matter of whether Sputnik indeed was paid 16 million or not paid 16 million.
Okay.
But from the impression I get, releasing does not mean that finality of payment,
I hear you.
as it were. So that's what I can say.
A minute on this.
Yes,
time is up.
first of all, Atu used two expressions. He said, and I'm out of 200 million.
100 and something.
It is 126 million that has been released. That was the first leg of his language. The second leg shows that from Appendix 4E, contained at page 109 of the budget, 16 million has been paid to Sputnik. It is the budget that is speaking. It is when he was drawing his conclusion or his closing remarks that he used the word released. Hold on. So this matter is contained in the budget. So you and I, we can't sit here and say any other thing.
Okay.
So the reference point is page 109.
You made my point.
Appendix 4.
We'll read it
point.
while we
Because
wait.
we don't have
We'll
financial
read it
data.
while we wait for the vaccines. The vaccines. NAPCO is not owing.
NAPCO is not owing.
Where's the source coming from? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Roxanne Nelson Eche Dafiamako is the Member of Parliament for the good people of South Dine in the Volta region. Also, Kamaldeen Abdullah is a Deputy National Communications Director of the NPP. Let me do this. Please bring down the sound a bit. Let me do this very important notice. Well, Empire Builders warns encroachers. They said the management of Empire Builders Trasaco Valley Limited are categorically stated that they now have in their possession the judgment plan for the Supreme Court ruling of the Empire Builders Top Kings dispute land case. Statement signed by Kwame Usudan, so PR consultant of Empire Builders, has said. Consequently, Empire Builders has cautioned Top Kings to stay away from its land, to stay within its 62-acre jurisdiction. The statement sought to bring the finality to the disputed land cases with Top Kings Enterprise Limited after the recent court judgment. And according to the statement, Empire Builders have been compelled to address the issue, taking into account that some actions are being taken in contravention of the judgment. That's in the Inside newspaper. And also a happy birthday to Madam Amma Lawson here at Media General. She's our head of HR and administration. Happy birthday to you, Madam. Long life and prosperity to you. Also, happy birthday to Abigail AC Apia of Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. This from Frederick Nyako, PR of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. And also to, what's the name? Happy birthday, Williams Kojo Asamwadis from Auntie Millicent Atople. And if it's your birthday as well, happy birthday. Also to a 61st birthday to the CEO of Cheesy Pizza, Mr. Edwin Korte, from your family, staff, and mother. God loves you. Happy birthday if it's your birthday. Thanks to Grandpa for my outfit. We'll see you after the break. There's more conversation on Newday. You know that on the 4th of August, Fix the Country demo is happening. We'll be meeting with the conveners on this set shortly, and we'll be hearing their story, whether they are proceeding forward or they are retreating. We'll see you after the break.